What's up, people? Today, there are no real shout-outs. Actually, I'm going to take that back. I'm going to send a quick shout-out to Inner Beauty. She's the sponsor of this podcast and also going to be the sponsor of the next show. Now, today what I want to talk about is the Blackstone method. Most people, or Blackstone's ratio. And the reason why I bring this up is because I get it called to me a lot of why I go out and do the things I do and talk about the things I talk about and the way I speak about them. Because a lot of people believe that I'm anti-police, which is actually not the case. I am anti-improper policing. I am anti-revenue generation on innocent acts. Now, the reason why I decided to speak about the Blackstone ratio today is very simple. It's because it gives you the complete context of our legal system, because it places the emphasis on not necessarily acts or non-acts. It places the emphasis on the complete intent of the setup. Now, in criminal law, the Blackstone ratio or Blackstone's formula is the idea that it's better that 10 guilty persons escape than that one innocent suffer, which is also one of the things that brings me to Matthew McConaughey movie, and it's called The Lincoln Lawyer. And in the movie, he had this thing where he said his greatest fear was an innocent client, because you don't want one innocent to suffer. But Blackstone's ratio is why plea bargains are such a great deal right now. It's because most people would rather do the convenient thing than make someone prove that what they did was wrong or actually against the law. And the reason why prosecutors don't want to go to trial, because in trials, no one cares about guilt or innocence. It's about the story. It's about perception. It's about who likes who and who can give the best argument for whose ever side. Now, when you look at the fact that the prosecutor, actually loses 70% or more of their cases that go to trial, it shows you the complete idea of why this is such a glaring ratio. Because when I say the system is built for the guilty, because the guilty are looking for ways not to get caught. They are looking for the loopholes. They are looking for those little idiosyncrasies that allow them to do what they're doing without just. Now, when you're talking about the innocent, they're getting caught up with things that have nothing to do with them, because they're getting caught up in hearsay. They're getting caught up in threats. They're being caught up in coercion. Why? Because they're looking for ways to entrap the actual guilty. And when you think about the whole totality of the situation, and you have to understand that the reason why we have our adversarial system is because one of the things that they have to do, which often gets lost in plea bargains, which often gets lost in the story at trial, is the fact that not only do they have to prove that the person committed the actual crime that created the injury, that created the loss, that created the intent for the situation itself. They have to prove that they mentally wanted to do it. They mentally attempted to do it. There has to be an act that followed. And the one thing no one can do is read the mind of another person, which is why it's so difficult for the prosecution to win, which is why I call it putting up baseball numbers. And the reason they put up these low numbers is simply because you have to prove what someone is thinking when an act is committed. And therefore, you have loopholes of 10 guilty going free, because now you're proving intent. Now you're having to illustrate intent not only to one person, but to 12 people. Sometimes even 13, couple alternates. Now, the question is, what is your liberty, justice, and freedom worth? That's all the time I have right now that I'm going to speak on this. There's a show coming out today. I believe it's at 4 p.m. Mountain Time, which is 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Central, and 3 p.m. if you in Cali. So be on the lookout for it. I'll probably also have another show this evening that's going to deal with a couple of topics that Interviewer and I will discuss on this next show. But for the most part, it's going to probably deal with the perception versus the reality of police procedures as far as what they are allowed to do and what they are not allowed to do. So be on the lookout. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Leave me a comment. Talk to you soon.